You know how sometimes you do something and you think it's like the smartest thing ever, and then it all blows up in your face? Yeah, that's my life right now. My name's Sienna. I'm 31. And I basically owe a publishing house more money than I've ever seen in my life. All because my mom decided to open her big mouth. It all started because I was bored and broke. Let's be honest. My job was like totally soul crushing. Just endless paperwork, answering phones, pretending to care about people's problems. I barely made enough to cover rent and my car payment. And forget about, actually living. I saw all these people on Facebook, my old high school classmates, going on fancy vacations, buying houses, having, perfect little lives. And I was stuck. I needed a way out, a big way out. I'd always been good at, making things sound dramatic, or let's just say, embellishing the truth. My mom always said I had a vivid imagination, and honestly, it's not my fault. Our life growing up was boring, safe, pretty much perfect. My parents were always there, always supportive, always doing the right thing, no drama, no hardship, which, in hindsight, is really the problem. Who wants to read about a perfectly normal childhood? Nobody. That's who. I used to write little stories online, just for fun, and people actually liked them. They'd be all, "Oh my gosh, that's so powerful," or "I can't believe you went through that." And I'd just smile and say, "Thanks," never telling them it was all, made up. So the idea started brewing. What if I wrote a real book? A memoir? Everyone loves those, especially if there's some kind of, overcoming adversity story. The problem was, I had no adversity. My life was, like I said, painfully normal. So I had to create I started thinking about all the stuff that could have happened. Things you see in movies or hear about on the news. I started small. Maybe, I was bullied in school. No. Too common. Then I thought about a really bad breakup. Again, everyone has those. I needed something darker. Something that would make people really feel for me. Something that would make them want to buy my book. I landed on it after watching a true crime documentary. The story of a girl who had been, totally abandoned by her family. And I thought, ding, 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 that's it. Abandonment, trauma, overcoming. It was perfect. I started weaving this narrative in my head. My parents suddenly were, totally absent, neglectful. I was left alone, practically raising myself. I had to, fend for myself on the streets. Okay, maybe not on the streets. That sounded a bit much, but, I had to work multiple jobs just to survive. Totally exaggerated. But who was going to know? I spent months writing this book. I called it Empty Spaces. Very dramatic, right? I wrote about feeling invisible, about having to grow up too fast, about fighting for every little thing. I even added in a fake, manipulative boyfriend who stole all my money, just to really hammer home the point that I was, a victim who rose above it all. I made sure to mention how I, pulled myself up by my bootstraps and found a way to become a successful, independent woman. Even though I was still stuck in that boring office job, it was all about the narrative. When I finally finished it, I felt this rush. I did it. I sent it out to a bunch of agents, and you know what? Someone actually got back to me. This woman, Brenda, she loved it. She said it was raw and brave and deeply moving. Exactly what I wanted to hear. She told me she thought she could get me a huge deal. And she did. A week later, I had an offer. $90,000? For a book that was, 90% fiction? I couldn't believe it. 90,000. That was enough to, quit my job, pay off my car, and finally live a little. I signed the contract without even really reading it. Who cares about the fine print when you're getting paid that much money? Brenda told me it was an advance, and I get more if it sold well. I was already picturing myself on talk shows, getting interviewed, being famous. The money came in. I quit my job the very next day. My boss was, totally shocked. I just told her I was pursuing a lifelong dream. She probably thought I was crazy. I bought myself some new clothes. Went on a little trip to Miami. It was amazing. I felt like I had finally, made it. My mom was, totally confused by the book. I didn't let her read it until it was almost published. I just told her it was a creative project and not to worry. When she finally read it, she called me, crying, "Sienna," she said, "why would you write such terrible things about us? About your childhood?" And I was like, "Mom, it's just a story. It's fiction. loosely based on things. She didn't get it. She kept saying, but people will think it's true. And I was like, that's the point. Mom, it's a memoir. People want to believe it. She just didn't understand the game. Between us, she was always so literal. It drove me crazy. My dad, he was totally quiet about it. He just kept looking at me with this weird expression, like he was seeing me for the first time. It was annoying. I tried to tell them it was for art, for my career, but they just couldn't get past the idea that I was, lying about our family. They were always so hung up on truth, so old-fashioned. The book came out, and it was a hit. People were, posting about it everywhere. This book changed my life. So inspiring. I got invited to book signings, little events. I even did a few interviews. I had to, really lean into the trauma, talk about my healing journey and how I found strength in vulnerability. It was exhausting, but it was working. My sales were soaring. I even started getting fan mail, people telling me how much my story resonated with them. It felt amazing. This was the life I was supposed to have. Then the trouble started. My mom, bless her heart, she's always been a little bit of a gossip, and she's, super proud of me. Even though she didn't agree with the book, she lives in our old hometown, a small place where everyone knows everyone. She was at the grocery store, talking to Mrs. Henderson, our neighbor since I was, 5. And Mrs. Henderson mentioned how she was so sorry to hear about my terrible childhood. And my mom, totally oblivious, apparently said, oh, but Sienna had a wonderful childhood. She just wrote that for the book. To make it more interesting, Mrs. Henderson, of course, being Mrs. Henderson, went straight to the town's little Facebook group, and she posted about it. Can you believe Sienna from Elm Street made up her whole book? And she mentioned my mom's name, and everything. It spread like wildfire. Someone even screenshotted it and sent it to a local newspaper. A small one, but still, that's when the call started. First, Brenda, my agent. Her voice was, totally different. Not all excited and gushy. More, tight and angry. Sienna, she said, what is going on? And I tried to, brush it off. Oh, just some old town gossip. Brenda, you know how small towns are. But she wasn't having it. She said the publisher was calling her, freaking out. Then came the really bad call. From the publishing house, some big shot lawyer. He said they had seen the newspaper article and the Facebook posts. He said they were getting emails from people who had bought the book, feeling like they were, defrauded. He even mentioned some TV show that had planned to feature me was now canceling. They wanted a statement from me, a truthful statement. I tried to deny it. It's all lies. My mom just misunderstood, but he wasn't buying it. He said, we have a clause in your contract, Ms. Riley, about the veracity of your memoir. If it's found to be fabricated, you are liable for the advance. $90,000. He said it so calmly, like it was nothing. My blood ran cold, even though it wasn't supposed to. This is all my mom's fault, I thought. Why can't she just keep her mouth shut? I called my mom, furious. Mom, what did you do? You ruined everything. She started crying. But Sienna, I was just telling the truth. I thought you'd want people to know what a good upbringing you had. Good upbringing. What good did that do me now? I needed a sob story, not a glowing review of my parents. She was always so good at invalidating my feelings, even when she didn't mean to. You're being dramatic, she'd say when I was a kid, even about things that really bothered me. The internet, as you can imagine, went crazy. My social media was, totally blown up with angry comments. Liar, fraud, scam artist. All these people who had, praised me before were now, tearing me apart. It was brutal. I tried to post something about how, it was all a misunderstanding, but it just made it worse. People just kept piling on. They're all just jealous. I told myself, they just can't stand to see someone succeed. The lawyer from the publishing house sent me a letter, a really official-looking one. It said I had to pay back the full advance, $90,000, by a certain date, or they would sue me. Sue me for my own book. It was unbelievable. I barely had any of that money left. I'd spent most of it on, living and a few treats. I thought I was going to get more money, not pay it back. I had to get a real lawyer, and he just kept shaking his head. Sienna, this is a very clear breach of contract. He said I had basically no leg to stand on, because I had signed a contract saying the book was true, which it wasn't. He tried to negotiate, but the publisher was, totally inflexible. They wanted their money back. and they wanted it now. My parents, after all this, offered to help. My dad even said he'd, take out a loan. They were always trying to fix things. But I was just, so angry at them. Especially my mom. If she had just kept her mouth shut, none of this would be happening. It wasn't my fault. It was hers. She was the one who ruined everything. She was always so nosy and had to, tell everyone everything. It was like she wanted to sabotage me, even if she didn't know it. So now I'm back where I started. Even worse. Actually, I don't have a job. I have this massive debt hanging over my head. And my reputation is, totally trashed. No one's going to hire me. No one's going to trust me. The publishing world is, a really small place. I'm pretty much blacklisted. And it's all because of her. My mom, the one who always said she supported me. Some support. I sit in my small apartment now, staring at the walls. The glamour is gone. The dream is gone. And all I have left is this crushing debt and the feeling that everyone, literally everyone, is against me. I tried to do something good for myself, something to get ahead, and it just backfired. It's not fair. I didn't hurt anyone. I just told a story, a good story, and now I'm paying the price for it because my mom couldn't keep a secret because she had to be the, truth teller. She ruined my life, and I don't care if she meant to or not. It's still her fault, and I'll never forgive her for it. I just want to disappear, but I can't. Because of her,